恭听大德圣听，为此法会，集结众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死。离苦得乐，殊真无生。While the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchetoye Allahati sanmiao sanputo che. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Namo, quelling disasters, lending life, Medicine Master Buddha. 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 Medicine Master does come one. 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 Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, and all good knowing advisors, Amitabha, welcome back. This is, let me just get my slides, lecture number 183 of the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra. Can I ask how many of you who are joining us today that this is your first time? Is there anyone? I'm not sure how to respond in Zoom. I'm not sure if we can do a like raise your hand or okay, let me see. So Candy Chia, is that Candy Chia Hui Ching?
Yes, 法师.
Okay,
Yes,
all right,
I'm
good.
here.
Okay, anyone else is their first time joining? Okay, all right. So Tan Yu Kai, okay, from Singapore. We met, right? Last week, is that right?
Yes, we met before, 法师.
Oh no, not you, Candy. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I
okay.
meant yes, you. I know. Okay, all right. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so since there are two newcomers, I just want to explain what we are doing. Why are we on lecture 183? Why are we so slow on the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra? Is because while lecturing on the sutra, it's also an opportunity to understand Buddhism. And we do that through the lens of the sutra. Whenever the sutra touches on a particular topic or there's a particular word that I feel needs to be unpacked, then that's what I do. And then we will take a detour. Sometimes for quite a few lectures, we kind of leave the sutra and we go deep into a particular topic, and then we come back to the sutra text again. And then by the time everyone has forgotten where we are on the sutra. So today, where we are is we are continuing the last few weeks, and we are looking at karma. We are looking at cause and effect. Basically, let me get the slide. Where, oh, sorry, I have. This is the wrong slide that I'm showing. You know what? I'm so confused while speaking. I'm looking at the slides and I'm wondering what's going on. Okay, that's what a 2-week break does to the mind. Okay, this is it. This is the slides that I wanted to show. I've already shown this slide we took a 2-week break. So I'm just sharing it again. And where we are right now is here. We are looking at a particular sutra called the Kama Vibhanga. The Kama Vibhanga is known as the Great Exposition of Karma, Sutra on the Great Exposition of Karma. And there are two versions of this sutra. Actually, there are quite a few versions, but the two main versions are what? The Theravada version and the Mahayana version. Both come from the same, arise from the same causes and conditions, which is there was a man who passed away and then was born as a dog. And when he was a man, he buried some treasure under his bed. And his attachment to the treasure caused him to be reborn as a dog so that he could guard the treasure. And then, so I've explained the story quite a few times. The Theravada version of the sutta, the Great Exposition on Karma, is very short. I mean, it's long enough, but compared to the Mahayana, I think the Mahayana has maybe about 10 times the content of the Theravada one. I might be wrong. But anyway, we are 3/4 way into looking at this sutra on cause and effect. Okay, so the last few weeks we have been looking at all the Buddha explaining all the different conditions of people. Like why are some people born poor and then become rich? Some people born rich and become poor. Some people poor but stingy. Some people poor but very generous. You know, some people rich and generous or rich and stingy. And I just wanted to make a point that the way the Buddha explains is in general. So it seems as if that's the how you say, people have that kind of fate, or no, not fate, karmic consequences. It seems to be fixed in that way, but actually it is not, because everyone's karma is mixed. So sometimes you have people who are rich and then poor, and then get rich again, they get poor again multiple times within a lifetime. So it's not fixed. So the Buddha is giving a generalized outlay. All right. Okay. Now, so we come to our sutra today, and midway, maybe towards the end, because at Tempian in KL, today we transmitted the 5 precepts. And usually when people are taking the 5 precepts, one of the hardest things to do is to be a vegetarian, because under the Dharma Realm Buddhist Association, under Shufu, we may be slightly different from other organizations. For us, when we transmit the 5 precepts, we encourage people to be vegetarian. So I have a talk from Shufu that he gave at CTTB, which I'll share towards the end. Okay, now, all right, coming to our sutra text, it says, the Buddha says, what kind of action, when action here means karma. So what kind of karma, when accumulated, leads, accumulated means you do it over again or from multiple lifetimes. Sometimes you do it in one lifetime and then the next lifetime you do it again. And in one lifetime you do it many times. And then the karma gets accumulated and the conditions are right. Then the karma fruitions, is that the right way to say it? The karma becomes right. Yeah. And then you have to undergo the fruit of the karmic seed. So here, the situation is a person to be born into a lower realm. Lower realm here means in the realm of animals, the hungry ghost, or the hell realm. That means below human realm. So not only you're born in a lower realm, in a foul-smelling place, but you have slow, impaired, missing, or undeveloped faculties. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, the Buddha gives an example. It says a wicked person whose wickedness is due to ignorance, who is reborn in the lower realms, for example, the muskrat, vermin, the constrictor, the loose. Loose is like a tick, the black honeybee and other bugs, as well as the 20 kinds of worms living in the human body, parasites. Such a person is reborn in the lower realms in foul-smelling places with underdeveloped and slow faculties. So if you think of a worm, most worms, I think they don't have eyes. They can't see. They may be able to sense between dark and light, but if you're in the human body, that's not going to do you any good. And then they don't have limbs as well. The constrictor or the snake, they don't have limbs. So that's what it means to have missing or impaired faculties. Not like humans. Humans, most of us have full faculties. All right. Okay. Oh, yes. If anyone has any questions, you know what to do. All right. I always like to ask if anyone has any questions. So just unmute your microphone or type into the chat box at any time. All right. Okay. Now we move on to another thing. The Buddha says there are 10 causes of action or actions that are non-virtuous. These are known as the 10 unwholesome deeds. All right. So 3 belong to the body, 4 belong to speech, your mouth, and 3 belong to the mind. So what can the body do? Incidentally, these 10, okay, or rather body, speech, and mind are the only 3 ways where we can create karma. All right. You can only create karma through our body, through the things that we say, and through the things that we can think. There's no other way to create karma. All right. So what are the unwholesome things that we can do with our body? Killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct means you have a partner or someone else has a partner, but you don't respect it. And so you have sexual relations with that person, or you betray your partner. And then speech, what is considered as unwholesome speech? Lying, saying things that are not true, slander or malicious speech, harsh or offensive speech, and then trivial or idle talk. It means you're just wasting your time. Not just wasting your time, but you're also wasting other people's time thinking about scenarios that will never happen, or talking about the weather or politics and things like that. And then the mind, what are the 3 things that you can think about, or the 3 emotions that are no good? Covert, how do you pronounce that? Covertness? Can someone help me? Covert someone. How do you pronounce that? I want to make sure.
Covetousness.
Covetousness. Thanks, Isabella. All right, covetousness, which is has to do with jealousy, wanting things that you don't have, or things that other people have that you are not happy that they have. Malice or ill will, and wrong will. Wrong will means going in the opposite of wisdom or the Buddha's teachings. So the Buddha says these 10 things, okay, will actually lead to the worsening of one's external environment. So for those of you who are interested in our environment and the worsening of our environment, you can try to, maybe, I don't know if it's correlatable, but you can try to look at human behavior over the last maybe 100 years, 200 years. Anyway, Buddha says, as a consequence of killing, the earth will lose its color while one will have a short lifespan. Okay, this can be hard to understand. The earth will lose its color. What does that mean? Well, a story just came to mind. I heard this at City of 10,000 Buddhas. I think it was now Master Heng Shou, Heng Shun, who shared this story. I might be wrong, but if memory is right, he said that there used to be a monk, I think. There was a monk meditating, and he remembered his past life. And he was a nun during the Buddha's time. And he recalled bathing in the river Ganges. And he said that the water in the Ganges River during that time was almost like milk. It had kind of a nutritious quality to it. I guess that's what happens, before any artificial, before man invented any artificial, how you say, there was no man-made, what's the word I'm looking for, material that existed. Everything was natural, organic, you know, uh, all produced by nature, no chemicals that were unnaturally made by man, So that person remembered that the river Ganges at that time had an almost nutritious-like quality to it. Yeah, maybe a lot of minerals, or, I'm not sure. Okay, so number 2, as a consequence of stealing, the land will be hit by hail and infested by birds, mice, and insects, while one will lose one's wealth. All right, so I think the first category, as you see here, like the earth losing its color and the land getting natural calamities, that is probably due to shared karma. That means the humankind as a society gets worse and worse. And then the second part, for example, having a short lifespan and losing your wealth, that would be individual karmic consequences. That means for specific to that person. And number 3, if you do sexual misconduct and unchaste life, bad smelling herbs and forests will grow on the earth, while one will be born in a place beset by fog, wind, dust, and dust storms. Okay. Number 4, if you lie, what happens? You get a bad taste in your mouth, and your breath will be foul smelling. And not only that, you will be deceived by lies. A lot of people getting scammed nowadays. The conditions are right, where it's due to the internet and social media. It's so easy to for scammers, to try to get their message out. And so as a consequence, there are a lot of people getting scammed nowadays. And number 5, karmic result of divisive or slanderous speech. That means you try to divide people by flaming the fire or telling lies about each other. What will happen? One will be born in a land where one experiences painful sensations from the ground, which will be uneven, rugged. That means you suffer the touch of pebbles and gravel. If you ever walk on those acupressure path, sometimes in certain parks they have a place where they purposely line the footpath with pebbles, different size pebbles and different heights, and then you walk barefooted, and it's supposed to be good for your health. Yeah, and you know that it hurts. It's not pleasant at all. But that's by choice, But what here the Buddha says is you don't have a choice. And unclean, and while one servant and retinue are likely to be divisive, that means you find no peace among your friends, among your family, among the people that you hang out with, like your colleagues. There, you won't find any peace because people don't get along. Yeah. And number 6, the karmic result of harsh speech is winds carrying dust and dirt, and heavy rains and so forth will fall to the ground, and one will hear and see unpleasant things. Okay. I'm sure there's a lot of this language is not just literal, but metaphorical as well. But in the sutra, there isn't any commentary. So with my limited understanding, certain parts where I know there might be alternate meanings, I'll share with you. But those that don't, I'll try not to be too clever. Okay, number 7, karmic result of tribal or idle talk is that one will be born in a country with high and low grounds, deep valleys, ravines, precipices, and so forth, where the trees, branches, and foliage all have thorns, and which is covered by dense jungle, while no one will believe one's words. Okay, now, if you study the Pure Land, all right, whenever you see that the Pure Land is described, how is the Pure Land described? It says that the Pure Land is flat. There are no high or low grounds, no deep valleys, ravines, brambles, and so forth. Now, in I think it's the Lankavatara Sutra, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's either the Lankavatara Sutra or the Vimalakirti Sutra, but I'm quite sure it's a Lankavatara Sutra. It opens with the Buddha explaining to the Bodhisattvas how does a Buddha build his Pure Land. That means in the course of the Bodhisattva path, the Pure Land is actually built by every single person you meet. How you practice your virtues, your patience, your loving kindness onto the people you meet. That is precisely how a Buddha land is built. Okay, not many people will get that. Okay, but if you do, you will find, as I know, there's at least one person here today. Let me see. Yes, she's here. It can transform your practice. Why? Because every person you meet is an opportunity for you to practice how to be a Buddha and how you attract them to your Buddha land, just as how many of us feel attracted to Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. Okay, so Shariputra, upon hearing Shakyamuni Buddha explain how pure is the Buddha's land with no ravines and all that, a thought occurred in his mind. And this thought occurred due to the Buddha's power. That means the Buddha wanted him to think that. Shariputra asked the Buddha, he said, okay, if you describe a pure land as being very pure, all right, right now, we are all in your pure land, which is in the Sahara. He says, but your pure land isn't pure, you know. You just explain how a Buddha's land is so pure, but I'm looking around, okay, and I'm in your land, but it's not pure at all. And then one of the Brahma gods said, oh, Shariputra, don't say that. It's not that the Shakyamuni Buddha's land is not pure. It is your mind which is not pure. And then the Buddha touched his big toe to the ground. Okay, the Buddha just touched his big toe to the ground, and suddenly the Sahan land was transformed. And Shariputra looked around and said, oh, it is the pure land. It is only his mind that couldn't see the pure land for what it is. What is this like? Well, before I became a monk, I had a lot of false thoughts. And I still do have false thinking. It's just that before I became a monk, this particular false thought was I wanted to get some rich investors. Basically, I was very lazy. I didn't want to work. So my idea was to get some rich investors, put in some money, and we buy up a whole chain of pharmacies because many years ago, pharmacies made a lot of money. And instead of paying out the profits to the shareholders after paying back their investment plus interest, all profits would be put into like a housing estate, with schools and hospital and houses for the employees to live. You see how false my false thinking was. And I thought, oh, if you can retain people in that way, then your turnover of staff will be very low. And turnover of staff is actually a very high cost for most businesses. You have to train new people, hire new people whenever someone leaves. So I had this great plan in my mind to make everyone happy. And then I realized that people are going to come with all their bad habits. They're going to gossip, going to get jealous. They're not going to get along with their neighbors because their neighbors will either hang their underwear outside or play their music too loud or, watch TV too loud late at night. And people are going to fight. So no matter how pure you want, how happy you want to build that place, if the people who come are not pure, is as far as they are concerned, it's just like any other place. Okay. Now coming back to our sutra, I hope I got that point across. Okay, number 8. The karmic result of covetousness or greed is that grains and fruits will be small and scanty, and one's possessions will be taken or desired by strangers. That means people will come and steal your stuff. Okay, and grains and fruits will be small and scanty, meaning food will lose its nutritional value. Okay, you can see where we are kind of headed in this. We have a lot of ultra processed food, and depending on where you live, for some people, their access to whole foods like apples and unprocessed foods are very hard to get, and the only choice that they have through the supermarket, where it's all ultra processed foods. And not only that, there are also food substitutes that because of the whole problem of food that's not nutritious, there are a lot of our food are made up of synthetic vitamins and all that. So so that's what it means when they say grains and fruits will be small and scanty. Okay, number 9, as a consequence of hatred or malice, crops and fruit will be pungent, sour, and bitter, and one will see repulsive sights. Okay, all right. Now, having said, okay, let's go back number 9. Having said that, number 9, there are also, people engineering fruits now to be very, very sweet. So sweet that it is harmful to health. Yeah, because the sweetness is unnatural sweetness. They crossbreed, or I don't really know what I'm talking about. All I know is that modern fruits that you can buy have a very high sugar content that, according to a doctor person that I know, this doctor, he had a patient who had fatty liver disease. And that usually comes if you consume a lot of alcohol, which is one of our future slides. What happens if you take intoxicants? Or that slide, that particular topic, there are 36 unwholesome things that will happen to you if you consume intoxicants. That's going to come. Anyway, this doctor said he had a patient who had fatty liver disease, but did not drink, did not consume any alcohol. So how did he get fatty liver disease? Every lunch or every mealtime, I can't remember, let's just say every day, he had to have a plate of fruits. And probably all, not like guava or something, but something like mango or something sweet. And that's how he developed fatty liver disease. Yeah. Okay. Number 10, by holding wrong views, that means going against wisdom and causing others to have wrong views, small fruits that are poisonous and putrid smelling and so forth, or no fruits at all will appear, or rather fruits will disappear. One will hold nihilist views, the wrong view of annihilation, or that of the materialist, and other wrong views. So wrong views, the two extremes are nihilism, which means that after you die, there's nothing, or eternalism, which means that there's a soul that goes on. Either you go to heaven forever, or there's rebirth, like in the Hindu religion, but there is continuation of the soul. There's a permanence of the personality. So Buddha says the more one cultivates the causes of the 10 non-virtuous actions, or the 10 unwholesome deeds, the stronger they become. Therefore, during the eon of the universe's dissolution, even if there are sesame seeds, no sesame oil can be produced. So the seed is like a dry seed. Even if there is sugarcane, no sugarcane juice can be produced, and no molasses and sugar. Even if one has a cow, it will not produce any milk, and there will be no butter. One's external environment will deteriorate, and one will be born in unpleasant places. There are such places on earth right now, places experiencing famine, drought, You go there. This is how it is. You don't talk about sesame seeds. Plants can't even grow. And if there are any animals, they die of thirst. Yeah. Okay. Now we move on to killing. All right. The Buddha says regarding killing, one should know that 10 evil consequences. That means when your karmic seeds of killing ripen, what will happen? You will have many enemies. You will have an ugly appearance. You will see repugnant things. That means things that that are disgusting. You don't want to see them and be frightening to others. Your lifespan will be short. You will have evil thoughts that will lead to the destruction of living beings and a short lifespan. One will sleep feeling uneasy and sad. Okay, for those of you who don't connect with this, good for you. Very, very good for you. But if you're struggling to understand how this can happen, okay, those people who are employed by certain companies to, what's the word for it? They have to vet content, like social media content. They have to make sure that when a video is posted, that it adheres to certain guidelines. So it's not videos of people being abusive to other humans or animals, things like that. I'm not sure if they go through video by video, but definitely videos that are being reported, they have to vet. And a lot of them report that they experience psychological problems as a result of watching such videos. I kind of know how it feels. I just watch videos of people behaving badly in traffic while they're driving, and I can see my own emotions getting, how you say, bubbling up to the surface, And I remember a long time ago, there was this website. I'm not sure what website it was, but I happened to come across a video where someone was getting murdered, or he was already dead. What they were doing, and they were hacking the person's limbs off, and in the background, someone else was crying. That video, or the emotional impact of that video, I kid you not, has stayed with me until today. Just seeing how humans could, the lower, I don't know, the lowest level of behavior that a human can produce. And it had such an impact on me that I can understand those people whose job is to actually look at those videos, and to make sure they don't get through to the general public. I just saw one video and it had a profound impact on how I felt. It just made me feel really, really terrible as a person. It just made me feel really terrible. I don't even know how to describe how it makes me feel, you know. Yeah, so it's not you don't need a stretch of imagination to see how killing can result in all this. Okay. Number 6, one will wake up feeling uneasy and sad. Number 7, one will have bad dreams and have regrets. Number 8, at the time of one's death, one's mind will be clouded. One will feel remorse. And the worst thing is, upon your death, you will fall because you're not in control of where you can go. And not only you fall, you can be reborn in the hell realms as well. Okay. Now let me see what's the time. Okay, maybe. All right. Do we have any questions? Sorry to stop at such a morbid topic. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up or ask or share? Yes, Alec.
The story came from Vimalakati Sutra.
Vimalakati Sutra.
Yeah,
Oh, what did I say? I say it was the Lankavatara Sutra, right? I was pretty sure. But no, it's the... So Shariputra and the Pure Land, that was from Vimalakati Sutra?
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so wherever I say, you all be careful because I make mistakes. So always double check what I say. And that's the Buddha's advice, actually. In the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, not the Mahayana version, the Theravada version, the Buddha says there are something known as the four great references. What are the four great references? The Buddha said, if you meet a whole congregation of monks, all right, then from a whole congregation of monks to a smaller congregation to a small group of monks, and finally the fourth one is one monk. But all these monks are learned, highly respected, they have a good reputation, they have many years, they're senior monks, and they have, so think of a monk that that's like that. And the Buddha say, and this monk will speak the Dharma, or the group will speak the Dharma, and they will say, this is what I heard from the Buddha. So at the Buddha's time, they will say that, but now it will probably be, this is what the sutras mean, or this is what I read from the sutras. And you know what the Buddha said? Buddha said, don't accept, but don't reject. That means don't be blind. Don't blindly accept. The Buddha said, what you need to do is you go back to the suttas and the Vinaya. That means you go back to the Tripitaka, all right, to the actual words of the Buddha. And if you can find it there, or if it's consistent with the principles that you can find in the sutras and the Vinaya, then you can accept. But if it's not, then just say, oh, this monk or the group of monks might have been mistaken in what they heard or their understanding. Now, what does this mean? It means that the responsibility for understanding the Dharma also falls on the listener. So this way, if you understand the Dharma as well, you won't get fooled. Because when someone speaks the Dharma, like for example, if I was doing this 5 years ago, I would explain something very, very differently from today, because the 5 different years of experience from the practice, from learning and understanding, plays a huge role in how I would understand and hence explain something. And at the same time, it doesn't guarantee that my understanding will be right, or the sutra that I'm actually using has been translated correctly. You wouldn't know, right? Unless you yourself have a working knowledge of the sutras and the precepts. All right. So don't rely on just hearing. Okay. You have to rely on your knowledge as well, so you don't get fooled. Okay. Now, this is what I wanted to share. Shufu. Shufu shared this on May 30th, 1982 at the City of 10,000 Buddhas. I was actually looking for the story because the few weeks ago, I shared the story about how the boy and there's a couple and they were eating fish, and how similar it was to another story. And I found the story, but when Shufu shared the story, Shufu also gave, it was part of an entire Dharma talk. So I'm sharing the whole Dharma talk with all of you. Okay. Now, what does Shufu say? Shufu say, if you stand outside a slaughterhouse at midnight and you listen to what's going on, all the sounds, he said, you'll know where war comes from. Because for hundreds of thousands of years, the stew in the pot, why stew in the pot? That has connection to do with the story, has boiled up a resentment that is very hard to level. What is resentment that is very hard to level? Someone having an urge to kill someone else and feel that it is right. That's what Shofu refers to. You feel it is justified. There's a reason to do it. Okay? That's why people kill, because they feel that they have a reason to do it. Okay? But where does the deeper reason or cause come from? Chofu is now explaining where it comes from. So Chofu says, if you want to know why there are calamities and wars in the world, just listen to the sounds that come from a slaughterhouse at midnight. From ancient times until the present, people have enjoyed benefiting themselves and sustaining their own lives by taking the lives of others. All right? In life after life, people have been slaughtering and devouring one another. The hatred in the resulting meat stew is as deep as the sea. Human beings have taken the lives of the smaller and weaker creatures by force. ignoring the fact that all beings wish to live and are afraid of dying. Before those creatures die, their minds are overwhelmed by hatred and thoughts of revenge. Don't think that their consciousness is, they don't know what's going on, okay? There is no way to quell the feelings of enmity. And she says, do you want to know where war comes from? Wars arise because people have done too much killing. That's why countries annihilate each other now with planes, cannons, and missiles. That means killing on a large scale. Shifu says, as the saying goes, in the Chinese character for meat, there are two people. The one inside has been caught by the one outside. When beings eat the flesh of other beings, it says, why, if one really stops to think about it, isn't that just people eating people? Okay, but you might say, all right, that Shufu, we are eating animals, we're not cannibals, we're not eating other human beings. Shufu means something else. Shufu means when there's death and rebirth, when you take death and rebirth into account, not just what you experience in one lifetime or what you see in another animal's lifetime, okay? Shufu says the Chinese character for meat is a pictogram of an open mouth or a box with two people, one inside and one outside. The one outside is trying to get in and the one inside is trying to get out. He is trapped inside this pen of death by the person outside. This character depicts one person eating the flesh of another. Okay, you can see it on the screen. Shu says the one eating the meat is on the outside, still in human form, while the one being eaten is trapped inside and has already turned into an animal. Even though the mouth is open, his escape is blocked by the person outside. The box could represent a sheep pen, a pig pen, or a cattle pen. That means once you understand the principle, you can explain it in different ways, depending on who you're speaking to. The one about to be eaten lives inside, while the person outside stands guard because he wants to eat the flesh of the one inside. Unable to extricate themselves from the bonds of enmity, the meat eater and the one being eaten follow each other like shadows. Why? Because you eat me, I'm going to eat you in the next life, and then that person gets eaten in that lifetime, feels like it's unfair and wants to return the favor. Then Shuva says, we are beings and yet we eat the flesh of other beings such as cows, sheep, horses, chickens, dogs, and pigs. And don't forget fish, because in the story that I shared a few weeks ago, the man outside the home was eating fish. Okay, and where did he get the fish from? He got the fish from the pond behind his house. And the fish that he was caught was his dad, because the dad also did the same thing. The dad loved to fish and catch the fish and eat the fish. As a result, when he died, he was reborn as a fish in the very same pond. And then his son, picking up just like the dad, also started catching the fish to eat. And guess that fish that he was eating on that day, well, that used to be his dad. Okay. Now, some people say God put these animals here for us to eat. If people are supposed to eat animals, who is supposed to eat people? Okay, you how you say, think about that. If that doesn't make sense to you, that means you haven't thought about it enough. All right. If you need an example, well, imagine if aliens were to visit planet Earth, all right, and they see humans just like how we see animals. All right, and then they treat us like how we treat animals. Okay, why? Because the aliens are probably more advanced. They can say, if they can communicate, how you pronounce it, telepath, through the mind. They don't have to make voices, not like us uncultured savage humans have to make sounds with our mouth. So they don't understand our speech, and they don't realize that, maybe what we say is a reflection of how we feel. Okay. All right. Creatures, whether or not put here by God, aren't necessarily meant for human consumption. Since humans are slightly more intelligent than other animals, they prey on and devour the flesh of their weaker fellow creatures. If you think about what is actually happening when people eat meat, you'll see that it's really people eating people. In light of this, you ought to consider whether the person being eaten, who has already taken the form of a cow, sheep, horse, or pig, might have been related to you. Shrangama Sutra says, sheep can become people again, or people can become sheep. Okay, both sides. If sheep can turn back into people, other animals should be able to do so as well. We fail to recognize them because they have changed costumes and faces. Has it ever occurred to you that these pigs, cows, and sheep could be your old friends and relatives? In fact, they may very well have been your parents from past life, from this life, or from some life beginningless eons ago. How unfilial it would be to eat the flesh of your own parents. You should realize that meat eating is really people eating people. People eat pigs, and then the people and pigs trade places and the eaters get eaten. Okay, so now we come to the story. It says that the cycle of vengeful devouring continues, enmity deepens, and people become ever more greedy. This karmic enmity causes people to crave delicious food and drives them on to nourish themselves with the flesh of others. So Shifu says, if you are skeptical, let me give you an example. So this is not our first example. This is actually our second example. First example, a few weeks ago, Shifu says, during the time of Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty, when Buddhism flourished, it was a custom for families to invite monks to recite sutras and mantras on the occasion of weddings and funerals. So it looks like the practice wasn't done properly because it wasn't vegetarian. Anyway, one time a wealthy family asked Venerable Petrarch Chu to recite sutras for a wedding. So Petrarch Chu was an enlightened master who could see into the past and future. Okay. And it says, when he arrived, he looked around and said, strange indeed, strange indeed. The grandson marries the grandmother, the daughter eats the mother's flesh, the son beats a drum made with his father's skin. Pigs and sheep are sitting on the couch, and the 6 types of relatives are cooking in the pot. Everyone has come to celebrate, but I see it as real suffering. So Shifu says, what was so strange? Well, the grandson was marrying the grandmother. How does this happen? It says, right before the grandmother died, she worried that no one would take care of her young grandson, who would help him raise a family and establish his career in the future. She died holding on to her little grandson's hand. Okay. When she went before King Yama, she wept and said, King Yama, please do me this one favor. My grandson is all alone. Won't you please let me go back to look after him? So Shifu says, King Yama, who had a soft heart, said, okay, you can go back and be his wife. Actually, it's not up to King Yama. I think it is our own karmic consequences that determine where we want to go. King Yama just facilitates that. So the grandmother was born again and as a girl, and when she grew up, she married her former grandson. There's another version of this story, I think from Shufu as well. She was born in a neighboring village. And then she had merely changed her appearance, putting on a different costume, but no one recognized whom she was. That's how upside down we all are. And only the Petrarch recognized her, and so he said, strange indeed, the grandson marries the grandmother. Then the Petrarch saw a little girl chewing on a pig's foot, and he said, the daughter eats her mother's flesh. Why? Because the girl's mother had been reborn as a pig, and because of the grave, she had done some unwholesome karmic deeds, like what we read before in the previous slides. The pig had been slaughtered and used in preparing a gourmet dish. Okay, a gourmet dish, not just any normal dish. And now the little girl was eating her own mother's flesh. All right. Now, how can this happen? Well, it's because of the close karmic affinities that we have, from families and friends and even enemies. And that's why, even though they can be reborn in different forms, somehow or other, they can be your pet dog, or which has happened. Like I said, this whole sutra was spoken because the man who buried the treasure under his bed, his name was Todiya. He died. He got reborn as a dog, and he and his son, the dog and the son, was very close. Why? Because in his previous life, father and son. All right. Okay. Petrakcha then looked in the courtyard and saw a boy happily beating on a drum stretched with mule hide or skin. He said, "The son beats on his father's skin." And then Shufu said, the boy's father had committed offenses and had been reborn as a mule. A mule is a donkey, right? I think a mule is a donkey, yeah. After the mule had died, its hide had been used to make the drum. Not knowing that the drum was made from his father's skin, the boy was merrily beating on it. Then the Petrarch glanced over at the couch and saw that the relatives sitting there were pigs, cows, and sheep that had been eaten in the past. And the meat cooking in the pot had been the 6 types of close relatives in the past. That means what? Cousins, uncles, and grandparents, and so forth. So Petrarch said, everyone here thinks this is a joyous occasion and congratulates the host on getting a new daughter-in-law. But from my point of view, this is true suffering. Then Shufu ends by saying, everyone is caught in the cycle of birth and death, paying off debts by killing and eating one another. This is indescribable suffering. If you don't eat the flesh of others, you yourself will not be eaten. And Shufu says, if you don't believe him, okay, Shufu says, that's fine. Good luck. Go try it and find out yourself. So Shufu's not going to argue with you. Shufu has already told you how things are, and he can't force you to do what you know you should do. And so that's why Shufu says, go ahead and try it out yourself. Yeah, I'm more polite. I will say, okay, good luck. Good luck with that. See where you end up with. Okay, there's another way to understand why you want to be vegetarian. There's a sutra where there was a pigeon or bird, and when Venerable Shariputra's shadow covered the bird shook in fear. But when the Buddha's shadow fell on the bird was very calm and felt very peaceful. And the Buddha explained, I'm not sure if it literally happened that way or the Buddha was trying to make a point, but the Buddha said that it's because the bird could sense that Shariputra's karmic seeds had not been fully purified, whereas the Buddha had fully purified his karmic seeds. So the bird had no reason to fear the Buddha. So if any of you, wish to walk the Bodhisattva path, one reason why we are Shufu wants us to be vegetarian is that so that all beings can feel comfortable with you. For example, if you are someone who loves to eat chickens and I have a prize, some people keep chickens as pets. There are some chickens that are very beautiful. They have long feathers. If you are a chicken eating person, all right, there's no way, anyone with a pet chicken is going to let you take care of their chicken if they go on vacation, right? Why? Because they don't trust you, right? It's just common sense. They don't trust you at all. So if you see your path in the future in becoming a Buddha, what does that mean? It means helping other beings. Okay, then you will understand or gradually come to understand that you want any living being to feel safe, secure, and confident in your presence. You don't want them to have any fear or suspect, and because why? If they do, you can't help them, you can't save them. They don't trust you at all. Yeah. Or if they find out, then if they lose trust in you, your opportunity to help them is gone. And if you really want to help them, nothing hurts worse than finding out that you are the cause of you have no one to blame but yourself for being unable to help them. Yeah. So being a vegetarian is one of the steps that you will willingly take because your wish to help others is greater. Okay. All right. Now we've come to the end of our session. Does anyone have any questions? No? Really? No? No one? I'm just going to wait until someone asks. Because we took a break for 2 weeks, right? Didn't anyone think about the Dharma all this while? Really? I can't force a question. Hello, anyone?
I have a question.
Yes, Edwin, thank you.
Um, yeah, I was wondering what's a good way to take care of sutras and Buddha images when somebody passes away and you don't have room for it.
Okay, we just had this exact discussion just last week. And well, usually, okay, you try say, okay, the question came from someone who was preparing for the event that they will pass away, and they don't want to burden their relatives, or they know that their relatives will not be respectful to their Buddha images and to their collection of sutras. So they found out that you can write and ask permission from where you took the books. Say there's a particular temple that publishes some of the books, you can write to them and tell them that you want to return the books and explain why. And if they agree to take them back, then you can return it. Then that's one way. You can ask temples if you have Buddha images, if they have a way where they can rehouse Buddha images, because some people, some temples do collect Buddha images. And in the event that someone comes and they look for a Buddha image or they need help, and then the abbot or the monk or nun in the temple says, okay, this is what you do. Do you have a Buddha image at your home? And they say, no. Say, oh, then you're in luck because we have one right here waiting for a home. So that can happen as well. Yeah, those are some of the things. But for someone, if you are nearing, you know that you are going to go soon, okay, then if you have tried your best in dealing with the Buddha images and the sutras, if you really tried your best, then there comes a point where you just have to let go. You don't want to be attached to those anymore, because ultimately, all right, they are depending on the school of teaching, but ultimately, because they are conditioned items and they are representative of the Buddha's true knowledge, they are not the true knowledge of the Buddha. They are representations to help us in our practice and in our understanding. Then you have to let go of them. All right. And you don't want to be attached and create unnecessary worry for yourself. But you can only do that. Okay. The mind can only let go if you try. If you haven't tried and you're careless, or you have you care for the sutras and your Buddha images, but at the same time you can't be bothered to find them a new home, then that concern will linger on your mind, and that's not something you really want. Yeah. Does that help, Edwin?
Yes, yes. Um, so I was kind of referring to my mom. So sometimes she gets the sutras and the Buddha images, and I'm just trying to plan to, like you said, So do you know if DRBA does take back some of the sutras, or how does that work? Because when I went to CTTV last time, I asked them. I said, "Would you guys take back books that are used?" And I guess the nun, she said they don't. So I was just wondering, if you guys do take back the books.
Well, if the nun says no, then and she's at CDTB, and if she's in charge, then I can't I can't override her and say yes, because I'm not at CDTB. Yeah, so I don't really know. You could try some of the branches. Are you near the city of Dharma Realm in Sacramento? You could try them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I guess I kind of I was asking the lady where they give the free books. Maybe that was, not the right place to ask.
Oh,
Yeah.
you should ask the front office, the administrative office.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, their phone number is the main number that's listed for CDTB. You can give them a call and
Okay.
explain to them your problem. Sometimes, when they commission a new Buddha image, there might be occasions where, if you have pendants, amulets of the Buddha, and they allow you to put it in the Buddha image, and then they seal it up. But that happens rarely. It happens once in a while, depending if you're lucky enough. Yeah, that's another thing to look out for. I would say just contact some of the temples around and see if they are willing to accept either Buddha images or sutras, and see.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Anyone has any suggestions for admin? No? Okay. In that case, then, oh, sorry, Alec, yes.
Sure. So basically, any creature, any insect that we encounter in our lives, like in our daily lives, we will have a deep connection with them.
Oh yeah. Okay. There's a story. Okay, not a story. Yeah, actual story. The Buddha went to this village, and the villagers kind of ignored the Buddha and the monks. But when I think it was Mahakashyapa, it has to do with hornets or bees. And then when the particular monk went there, they treated him really well, and they ignored the Buddha. And so this made some people unhappy, and they asked the Buddha what's going on. So this is a lesson on affinities. The Buddha said in a past life, I think it was Mahakashyapa. For now, I just use Mahakashyapa. Or I just use this monk. This monk had come across, he wasn't a monk in that life. He had come across a nest of hornets or bees, and they wanted to sting him. He must have done something to them. And he told them, he said, if you don't sting me in the future, when I have found a way, I promise I will cross you over. And so he had become an arhat in this lifetime under the Buddha. And that nest of bees or hornets had become that village. So that's one understanding of why we should be of affinities, because we tend to think of animals and insects as lesser compared to human beings, but that's not the case. And then during the Buddha's time, the Buddha suffered a headache for 3 days, and the Buddha's family was murdered. And the cause and effect was that the person who murdered the Buddha's family, what happened was I think Mahakashyapa, the one who has foremost in spiritual powers, is it Mahakashyapa? Anyway, he knew what was going on, and he tried to protect the Buddha's family by putting them in his bowl. But when he opened his bowl, he only saw blood. That means they had been murdered. So despite his spiritual abilities, he could not prevent them from being killed. And who killed them? A particular prince. This prince, his father, wanted to marry a daughter of the Shaka clan for prestige, but he was looked down by the Shaka clan. So the Shaka clan gave him a slave girl instead, but lied to him, and he thought it was an actual daughter of the Shaka clan. So this prince was a result of that marriage. And when he was young, he was playing with his cousins from the Shaka clan, and he climbed onto the throne, and someone scolded him and said, how can you, a son of a slave girl, climb onto the throne of the king? And he told his assistant at that time, because he was a prince, he had like an assistant going with him, like a butler. He said, when I am king, remind me of what happened today. All right. So when he became the king, he held the grudge against the Shaka clan for telling him he was the son of a slave girl, and he killed them all. But where did this desire for revenge come from? It wasn't from that he was scolded. No, that was just the justification that he had from this life. But the deep-seated cause came from a long time ago in a different past life. The Shaka clan were villages undergoing famine. All right. And behind the village, there was a pond with two huge fish. The villagers had nothing to eat. They had finished eating. They had caught all the other fish and finished eating them, except these two large fish. And when they caught the fish, the Buddha, who was a small boy at that time, out of compassion for the two fish, because he knew they were going to be killed, he hit them on the head with a stick to knock them out so they wouldn't feel the pain from being slaughtered alive. And that was why the Buddha, when he became the Buddha, he suffered a headache for 3 days because he hit the fish on the head. All right, although it was out of compassion. The two fish that was killed was the prince and his assistant. And who killed and ate the two fish? The villagers, which eventually became the Shakya clan. So cause and effect. Don't mess around with cause and effect. You know, if you're kind, even to insects, the kindness will be rewarded in the future. So Shufu says, don't even kill little creatures like ants. Shufu said he was an ant. So don't kill ants. Don't kill mosquitoes, Shufu said. And, all right, if someone has the heart to save all living beings, like if you come to the temple and they say, I vow to save all living beings, I vow to do all good deeds, I vow to refrain from all evil deeds, and you believe in that, you believe that you too can do that. Why? Because you already made that vow. Okay, you first of all, you come to the temple. Secondly, you made that vow by following along the ceremonies, you can't escape. And if in your heart, you really want to save living beings, you really want to become a Buddha, then even if you save a single ant, there's a certain sense of joy and happiness that you will feel. Even if it's just a single ant. For example, you pour water in your cup and you realize there's an ant swimming in it, and then you carefully take a wooden spoon or something that the ant can hold on to, and you dip it in, and then you take out the ant, and you take a piece of tissue paper, and you gently place the ant on the tissue paper so the tissue paper will suck all the water from the ant, and then the ant can go on its merrily happy way. You get a lot of satisfaction from there. And the more you do it, the happier you just become. And then you understand the practice. Okay, but talking of it is no use. I can talk until my mouth gets dry. All of you need to try it out. Okay, and look at your hearts as you're trying it out and see how it feels. Then you will know. All right. Okay. Any more questions? Does that answer your question, Alec?
Yes, thank you, Pastor Amitofo.
Okay, you never know that ant that you save in a future life might be a pusa or someone in a position of great power or great wealth who helps you out from a very, very difficult spot. All because you took the time, a few seconds in your life to say, hey, there's a living being that needs my help. That's why some people, as they go through life, they have very good luck. People are always helping them. Yeah. Okay. All right. Then it's time to uh, 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 dedicate merits. Okay. Does anyone remember our past lecture, which sharing, which dedication did we use?
Abhagiri.
The Abhagiri one? That was the last one?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? We will also use the Abhagiri one today because I like it a lot. Yeah, let's use it for today. And then next week, we can use our regular one. Okay, I'm going to put my palms together. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of Death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. To the goodness that arises from my practice and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease and all harmful states of mind. Until I realize Nibbana, in every kind of birth, may I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dharma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. May darkness and through the supreme power of all this, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Okay, now I'm going to just change my sound settings quickly, and then we can do 3 bows to the Buddha. Okay, all right. 3 bows to the Buddha. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Okay, Ran Amitofo, I'm so glad so many of you came back after 2 weeks. I know it's not easy, and we'll see you all next week.